Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shadoe at Night. This is Thursday, July the 31st, 2025. On the show tonight, well, we are, 4 hours away from Donald Trump's August 1st deadline, trade deadline. If there's no negotiation finished, there's no deal in place, then we get stuck with tariffs like 35, 30, 40, 45, 50. I'll take 55. Sold. To the man in the straitjacket. There's a consequence. We're going to get into this. But Mark Carney is bumbling his way through explanations to the left-wing corporate media the last couple of days. And it didn't help that yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, he said, yes, in September at the UN General Delegation, Canada will recognize the Palestinian state. We've always advocated for a two-state solution. Even the Jewish people in the Liberal Party are going along with this. There's something weird going on. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, if Poilievre was in power, nah. So I want to get into this a little bit later on in the show, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 15. I haven't decided yet, whenever it seems natural to fit it in. But somebody accused me today of being a conservative shill. And I had to remind that person that I was kicked out of a Pierre Poilievre rally during the election campaign. I'm not sure when that was, February or March, whatever. I was kicked out. I was thrown out as a known agitator. Other people weren't. Other influencers, online influencers weren't. I was. I still don't know why to this day, even though many requests have been made of the Conservative Party for a reason. And not just by me either. Many viewers, many of you guys actually have reached out to their Conservative MP and asked and received no answer, which is interesting. So no, I'm not a conservative shill. You know what? I'll just do it now. My whole thing during the election campaign was, if the Liberals win, we're on a express elevator to hell. Quite literally. No stops along the way. Just straight down. Boom. And Carney is making that so, don't you think? Whereas with Poilievre, and this is my belief in the one-party state, even if it's the illusion of two parties or three parties or eight parties or however many parties, the bottom line is that Poilievre eventually would have taken us there, but we would have had more runway to get our act together in the next 3 or 4 years. That's what I said the entire time during the election campaign, before that even. Now, as I look back at it, maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe we needed Canada to get really bad, really fast, so that people would wake up. More people would wake up and they'd start at least trying to do something about it. I don't know. But as you can see, Mark Carney is doing what he's supposed to be doing. And still people, elbows up, man, elbows up. Still, they're out there saying, no, I won't buy American products. Are you kidding me? Trade war. I'm not going to America this year. Forget it. I'm not giving them my money. I'm not giving Trump my money. And of course, the nudge team out of the Privy Council office is putting out all kinds of surveys and putting out all kinds of polls saying, 75% of Canadians say they're not buying American products anymore. Meantime, they're going home every night watching Netflix. They're going to Costco every weekend for deals. They're going to Walmart. They're going to movies made in the United States. I don't buy American. The whole thing is one big hypocrisy. And ultimately, in order to change things, the system itself needs to be redesigned. I don't know how we do that. I put out a short today, a reel. And the reel is, we got to go door to door to door to door to door in this country, knocking on doors, asking people, are you fed up yet? Are you fed up yet? Absolutely. Next time I'm voting conservative. No, that's not what I mean. Are you fed up yet? Because do you think the conservatives would have made it any better? And I did point this out during the election campaign. Why does Pierre Poilievre keep advocating for the Ukraine war, and Canada will be behind you until the bitter end, and Russia is evil and all of this? Why? We need something new, something fresh, somebody who knows what's going on, and 343 other people who feel the same way to get them into power. And then who knows what happens after that. Or maybe it's as simple as Alberta just leaving the country. That would change things for sure, wouldn't it? So tonight, we'll talk about this deadline. We'll talk about what Donald Trump said about Mark Carney recognizing the Palestinian state. Canada is experimenting with a new inhalable COVID vaccine. What else have we got here? Good news for a city councillor in Ontario. Donald Trump says Jeffrey Epstein stole women from Mar-a-Lago. He said that today. So all this and more is coming up in just a second on the Shadoe at Night live stream. Hello, Kim. How are you doing? Paul's watching tonight. Robert's watching tonight. Hello. Oh, and on the extension tonight, we're going to watch. This is a long one. So the social media part of the show tonight is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, because we got 2 hours of the agenda, Their Vision, Your Future, coming up in the extension on ShadowDavis.com for the All Access Nighthawks. I encourage you, if you're not one, to become a member at the website, ShadowDavis.com, ShadoeDavis. Hello, John Doe from Edmonton. Gloria is watching in Saskatchewan. Hello, Roseanne, Sue, Maggie, Brent, Debbie, Paul, Edna. Hello, Kathy. Shelley, yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Don't forget to like and share, you guys. Get it out there to as many people as you possibly can. Show begins in 30 seconds. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, I am taking the entire weekend off, plus tomorrow. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I'm going away. I'm getting out of here. I'm giving my brain a rest for a few days. When I come back on Tuesday, I will have a guest on from the Dominion Society of Canada. You remember those guys. Here's the video.
It's time to admit it. Canada's dying. I'm not talking about climate change or American annexation. I'm talking about mass immigration. For the last 40 years, politicians have used Canada's declining birth rate to justify ever-growing immigration levels. And what has it brought us? Our hospitals and schools are overrun, wages are stagnant, and housing is through the roof. But the consequences go far deeper than just economics. You see, Canada's more than just lines on a map or numbers on a graph. Canada is a nation, a distinct people with a shared history and culture. And you can't replace our people without fundamentally transforming our society. And that's exactly what's happening. Whole neighborhoods, even cities, are becoming more like foreign countries. Canada's becoming unrecognizable. And Canadians are starting to notice. A majority of us now support drastic cuts to immigration, and many even support mass deportations. And yet, we're ignored by every mainstream political party. As the politicians turn a blind eye, the Canada we once knew slips further and further away. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? Today I'm launching the Dominion Society. We're not a political party. We're a vanguard movement. Our mission is to shape culture, and through it, influence the direction of all political parties. Too many Canadians think politics is just voting every few years. It's not. Politics is a participation sport, and the most organized side wins. Immigrants understand this. They build networks, act as voting blocs, and as a result, all politicians bend over backwards to serve them. Heritage Canadians don't. We remain atomized and get ignored. The Dominion Society is here to change that. Our movement is built off two ideas: Canadian nationalism and remigration. Too many think that the consequences of mass immigration are permanent, that it's just something we have to learn to live with. But they're wrong. The same politicians that brought them here can send them back. At this point, it's not enough to just reduce the numbers. we must reverse the flow. That's remigration. The first step is to make remigration a mainstream idea. Canadians need to hear the word, understand what it means, and feel confident saying it. Next, we'll find every single immigration skeptic and Canadian nationalist across the country and bring them together into a single coordinated force. We'll crowdfund to spread our message, we'll run grassroots campaigns, and we'll train the next generation of activists. We're going to build that professional core that can work day in and day out to advance Canadian nationalism and remigration. Our opponents already have this. A web of diaspora groups, think tanks, lobbies, and charities working in tandem to erase Canadian identity. We're building the resistance. It's time for heritage Canadians to step up and take our country back from the elites that despise our history and our people. Through the Dominion Society, remigration will become a reality. Long live Canada.
The Dominion Society of Canada. That young man's name is Daniel Tyree, and he'll be joining me on the show next Tuesday night. What's your thoughts on remigration and mass deportation, or simply a moratorium on immigration? All immigration in Canada for the next couple of years. Pierre Poilievre actually did say earlier this week that Canada needs negative migration. I think he said that at the debate. Because he's running. He's got to be an MP, right? He wants to remain the leader. This is interesting. This is something that Amrit Beering and I talked about the other night. If he wants to remain leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, he must win this by-election in Battle River Crowfoot, which is coming up August 16th or 17th. It's very, very soon. And the ballot's all messed up now because there's so many different candidates on it. So you got to write in the name of the candidate and the party they represent. It's going to be a nightmare. A big cluster F bomb. So I want to know what you guys think of this society, the Dominion Society of Canada, and their ideas. Did it give you any feelings inside that maybe he was a racist, white nationalist, anything like that? And it's okay to say. I'm not going to judge you. Nobody's going to judge you. But that's the way most Canadians feel when they see something like that. They immediately think bigot, racist. Oh my God, he's a smear on Canada. That's what they think. And basically, it's just a bunch of people, actually a lot of people, who want their country back. They want it back. Now, we know it's never going to be quite the same as it was when we were growing up, because that was a long time ago. Things change, obviously. But we want some semblance of it back. We want to be able to recognize it. And right now, that's extremely difficult to do. You can go anywhere. And you have to wonder, seriously, what country you're in. If you woke up from a coma and looked around this country, would you recognize it? Or would you think you were in India or Pakistan or some other Middle Eastern country? And there's nothing wrong with being a white nationalist, Mike, as you point out correctly in your comment. I'm white. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a nationalist. That means I love my country. There's nothing wrong with that either. All right, let's get down to it here. Mark Carney said yesterday that Canada in September will recognize the Palestinian state. And here he is saying it.
Recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future. I spoke today with President Abbas at length to reaffirm his commitments. Canada reiterates that Hamas must immediately release all hostages taken in their horrific terrorist attack of October 7th, that Hamas must disarm, and that Hamas must play no role in the future governance of Palestine.
Does he sound 100% confident making that statement? He looked very nervous to me, shaky. So here's what Donald Trump put on his Truth Social today. Wow. Canada just announced that it's backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. Tomorrow is a deadline. Now, Trump has made deals with Japan. He's made a deal with the EU recently. He's made deals with the UK. He's making deals all over the place, except for Canada. He was asked about that today.
Moves forward with recognizing the Palestinian state. Is that a deal breaker?
Well, we're going to see. No, I didn't like what they said, but that's their opinion. I didn't like that. Not a deal breaker, but we haven't spoken to Canada today. He's called, and we'll see. But we have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. Yeah. Do you have a?
Canada currently. What's the holdup with the negotiations with Canada?
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple.
Now, I didn't get a chance to see the entire context. I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't get a chance to see the entire context of this press conference. I see J.D. Vance there, and Robert F. Kennedy is there. I don't know who the guys are. Well, there's his Secretary of Finance. But why is Triple H there? The wrestler. There he is there, the bald one with the beard and the red tie. Anybody know? Is there some kind of a special WrestleMania event coming up involving the president? I don't know what this is.
They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. And look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And all we want is fairness for our country. That's all. You know, they want to be under the, as we call it, the Golden Dome. And I said, well, you know, you're going to have to pay for that. They want a lot of things from our country, and for years we did it. We basically protect them with our military. They spend very little money on their military, as you know. Not an acceptable amount of money.
Anybody, what's Hunter Hearst Helmsley doing there? He's Linda. Yeah, Linda McMahon, you're right. You're right. He's the son-in-law. But that, still, does that qualify him to be standing next to the president doing a press conference? I don't know. That's crazy. So what does Mark Carney say about not having a deal in place, even if everybody else has got one except for Canada? Even Mexico got an extension. So here is Mark Carney with Anita Anand next to him.
Well, I'll simplify. It's always good to say that.
And what is it with these liberals constantly having this smirk on their face? It just makes you want to wipe it right off their face. What is that? Is that a perma smirk or something? Is that like perma smug? They all seem to have that. It's not a good quality.
Look, these are complex, they're comprehensive, they're constructive negotiations with the Americans are ongoing. It's possible that they may not conclude by the 1st of August. But we'll see. The team's there. We're working hard. Conversations today, myself. So we'll see. There are, and the specific aspect of the question included a reference to the European Union deal. And could our accord with the United States include commitments on investments and other aspects? And I just observed that there are many areas for cooperation between Canada and the United States, including defense spending, security spending, investments, which is one of the reasons why we're having these broader.
Which is one of the reasons we're having the. You're having the what? It's a lot of gobbledygook there. Defense spending. Trump comes out and at least says it. Well, they don't spend near enough on their military. Okay, so Carney has promised that, but where's the goods? Where's the results? I know it's early on. He's due for his 90-day assessment soon. We'll see how that goes. And only got a 52% approval rating. Even Justin Trudeau, in his first 90 days had a 62% approval rating from Canadians. And Stephen Harper in his first 90 days had a 61% rating. So I don't know if Carney's got a lot of rope to run around with there. But we know he's got somebody who loves him very, very much. It's a man crush. It's a bromance. It's Doug Ford.
The problem with President Trump, and, you know, we're united. First of all, I've never seen this country more united, ever, in all my years of being in politics, and it's a great feeling. All provinces.
Excuse me. What is he talking about? I've never seen this country more united. Dude, Alberta is on the verge of having a sovereignty vote. Quebec not far behind because the Parti Québécois is going to win the next provincial election. Of course, you know what they're going to do, and the Bloc is going to go right along with them. So what country are you looking at exactly, Doug? I don't get. He spent a lot of time with Danielle Smith lately, too. Surely they've talked about it. Or is there a plan to thwart us? Anyway, let's listen to the rest of this nonsense.
Territories, municipalities, and the federal government. But, you know, Prime Minister Carney's trying his best, but this guy will say something one day, and he'll wake up, and the cheese slips off the cracker, and then all of a sudden he goes the other way. And you're thinking, how do you deal with a guy like this? Are we hoping that we can get a deal with zero tariffs? Yes. But I always say how we can kick back, and it's not the American people, kick back at President Trump. Let's start onshoring everything, absolutely everything we possibly can. Like I-beams, those big steel I-beams. I didn't realize we don't make them here until found out during the trade deal. Or the rails that are beautiful, our cars are going to be made, the streetcars are going to be made down the street. We don't make the rails, so we need to start making rails. And start making sure that we make those steel I-beams and aluminum cans. Aluminum cans are my favorite. The Coke, the Pepsis, all the other beverages, the Molsons, the Labatt's,
Okay. You know what? I can't. This man is babbling nonsense. The Coke and the aluminum cans, those beams, I didn't know. I didn't find out till today. And Donald Trump, the cheese slips off the cracker. And dude, you're not helping the situation. Just shut up. You're not. But I love Mark Carney. He stayed at my house. I love him. Remember what Amrit Bering and I talked about the other night? And this is an obvious one. If Pierre Poilievre does not win, and I think he's going to win. I mean, the last election, the Conservatives won the Battle River Crowfoot riding with 85% or higher of the vote, maybe even 89%. So he's probably going to win. But if he doesn't, let's just say he doesn't. Let's say they rig it so he doesn't. Then he's going to have to resign as the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Who replaces him then? Is it going to be somebody like Leslyn Lewis? Well, we'd like to think so, sure. Who else? Can't think of any names, can you? Larry Brock? Probably not. Somebody like Michelle Ferreri? Michelle Ferreri is especially frustrating because you get the feeling that she knows what's really going on around the world, right? The inversion matrix. But then she says something ridiculously unsmart. She went on this podcast, I think it's called The Great Canadian or The Great Northern Discussion. And this is a whole other thing I'm going to bring up. Well, let's bring it up now. This Great Northern Discussion guy has got maybe 2,000 followers on YouTube. He doesn't have a lot of followers on any social media. So how is it that he gets these conservative politicians and ex-politicians? He's had some pretty big names on that. I believe it's because what we've got on YouTube especially is a bunch of conservative influencers. And I'm not talking about conservative ideology. I'm talking about conservative party. But you don't know it. And they don't mention it but I believe that they are somehow in bed with the Conservatives. I'm not saying the Conservatives are paying them, but there is some kind of a relationship going on between some of these influencers and the Conservative Party of Canada. Anyway, here's Michelle Ferreri. Now listen, I want you guys to listen to this closely. And then after it's over, or maybe even during it, I want you to write down what really annoys you about the things that she says. Here we go.
Why do you think Trump is so interested in Canada?
Oh,
Let's call it what it is.
I've said it to everybody. This is a play for our oil and to suppress ours so they can take off, and which they have done. They've left us in the dust, and we have more of it. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. He handpicked Carney.
Well, it makes a lot of sense if you start to ask questions. And I think, and I think that's the other problem. It's these are tough things, and I think the biggest lesson I learned, and through the election, is many people are not ready for the truth.
You're right. You're right. They're not ready for the truth. And
it's a lot harder.
It is harder. And just as you mentioned that, I'm thinking of obviously follow you and love your stuff, and we talk, and but the MAID.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've made a pretty passionate post, and it's come up recently, and even I had hoped to go there with Jasmine, but we just got yapping so much we missed it.
I'm shocked.
Weird. That girl could talk too. So
now it's Jasmine Lane they're talking about. Another conservative influencer, right?
It's dangerous when we get in the room with each other. We can miss shit. But MAID, so you made a really passionate post. So what have you uncovered, and what was the controversy after with what MAID is trying to push and in the committee?
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. So the committee was created, all-party committee, as a result of legislation that was put forward to extend MAID, which is medical assistance in dying, to people with mental illness. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am a very passionate advocate about mental health and mental illness, and have been my entire life. And to me, this is just complete insanity to give somebody the autonomy and decision-making power when the actual thing that is causing them to feel that way is in fact their brain. It's like one big paradox. It's like it's inhumane, and it's very dangerous. And so obviously lots of other people thought this way too. It wasn't just me. And this committee was formed. I wasn't on that special MAID committee, but all parties were. And so the legislation was supposed to come in 2024 to extend MAID to people with mental illness. But just as I've just said, there is no concrete evidence to prove that you cannot recover from a mental illness.
Right.
Because we don't have enough research. We don't know. This is different than me saying, okay, you have stage 4 pancreatic cancer and you're going to die in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, that's a totally different can of worms.
Of course. Yep.
This is something that, I have bipolar, or I have something, and I'm in a really low spot. I go to my doctor and I say, hey, doctor, I want MAID. And they go, okay, pardon?
Yeah, they can't do that.
Like, pardon?
Yeah.
But this is the legislation that was put forward by the Liberals. So we fought it very aggressively. Then they put in what's called like a sunset clause. So they brought it back into the House, and we were able to push it further so that it comes back up in 2027.
Yes.
And one of the letters, I'm actually going to be meeting with this girl in person. She reached out to me after I lost the election. She had written to me during my time as member of parliament. She said, Michelle, I can guarantee you with certainty I would not be here if that legislation is in place. And she's like, she deals with bipolar,
manic depression.
Yeah, and her, if you search it up, you can see it. Her name was Kayla. I read it in the House like multiple times because it was this powerful letter. And so there's lobbyists dying with dignity, and a lot of people don't know that they are like lobbying the government to extend this. Like, there's a whole bunch of people who believe, because listen, anybody who's watched somebody with mental illness or addiction, because that's part of it as well.
Painful.
It is excruciating, and it's not just excruciating on the person; it's excruciating on
everybody else,
on everybody. And so there's this argument. Well, maybe we should be offering MAID. Because suicide is inevitable for some people with mental illness. And it's like, no, guys, let's pull back and say, why aren't we looking at the research, brain research, blah, 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 blah. So when you have this conversation with people, they're like, that's not true. number one, is the pushback. Then there was this pamphlet that was circulating online, because in the committee, people also testified who were pro MAID from people with mental illness, that it should be extended to minors. And minors with mental illness, minors with all kinds of different problems. And it's like, whoa. It's not in the legislation, but there is a lobbyist that is, and there are people who want it. And the slope is so slippery.
Oh my God.
Right?
It's like an obsession with minors too.
It's really, really bizarre.
Strange voting. And,
It's a very bizarre thing. And so
She gets very close to saying it and then doesn't say it. Why?
I think what people have to understand is you don't know what you don't know. We do live in a clickbait society.
Yeah.
We do have to have these hard conversations. But the truth is sometimes it's very, very uncomfortable. Like, there is some very horrific things happening in our backyards that there's a reason people don't want to know. Like, it's awful. It's not nice things.
It's too hard to talk about.
It is.
Right?
All right, your thoughts? Write them down in the comments. I want to hear. Some of you say that Michelle knows what's going on, but she won't talk about it or can't talk about it. She's upper echelon Conservative Party. She's not mid-level. She's not low-level. She's upper echelon. Many of the lower level, you see, remember, the Conservative Party, like any other party or company, corporation, it works on levels. There's entry level. Because when you're elected as a member of a political party for the first time, you're a newbie, right? You're coming in, starting out, paying your dues, working your way up, unless you've got some kind of a profile like Andrew Lawton, maybe, who, by the way, has been very outspoken. I believe Andrew knows what's going on, but he can't say it either. But Michelle, she's high level. She was sitting on the first row of the benches, pretty close to Polyev during the House of Commons. So if she knows what's going on, she's no longer a Conservative MP, still a member of the party. Why doesn't she just say it? Is it because she's afraid of being called a conspiracy theorist? She wants to run again at some point? Or she's trying to build a following on social media, but she sees if she becomes too much of a conspiracy theorist, people are going to kind of fall away from her? As far as Jasmine is concerned, I like Jasmine very much, but she won't talk about certain things. They can't talk about Ukraine. None of these Conservative Party influencers, Mr. Sunshine Baby, Northern Exposure, whatever, what are they called? I forget. They won't talk about the issues the Conservative Party won't talk about. Have you ever noticed that? I do. Some people have called me a conservative shill. Why would they have thrown me out of a Pierre Poilievre rally if I was that? Or was that a scam too? My point here is that the Conservative Party is not completely captured. Much of it is. But some of it still isn't. For example, this guy right here, I think his name is Ned Kurak, and he's a Conservative MP from Hamilton. And he made a post on Instagram earlier today.
Hey folks, hear me out, give me a minute. Imagine sitting at home late at night with your family watching TV only to hear a barrage of gunshots just outside your door. Having to tell your family to hit the floor, cover their heads. Having to hit the floor yourself, having to call 911, not knowing what's outside that door, having fear, panic, and sheer terror grip your body. Having to wait for the police, and every minute that goes by feels like an hour. That happened to a friend of mine in Old Stony Creek last night, 10:30 p.m. He found out later, when the police arrived, that somebody had gone down the street and sprayed a car in a house with bullets a few doors down. And that was not the only shooting in Hamilton last night. My message here is enough is enough. I have a question for Prime Minister Mark Carney and the ministers that deal with these issues. Why are you opposed to mandatory minimums for violent crime and gun crime? Give me one reason. I've stood in the House and asked this question. I've done many press releases on this. I've done many videos on this. This cannot be the new norm for Canada. Police are making arrests. They're doing their job. But criminals are getting out because our justice system has no teeth in it. Criminals in this country are not afraid of Canadian law. That has to change.
Ned Currock, again, a CPC MP from Hamilton. Man, why don't the Liberals care about this violent crime? Mandatory minimums. Do you think he knows the answer? Was that question rhetorical? I get the feeling he does. But he won't say anything either. This is the problem. The non-captured elements of the Conservative Party of Canada need to start speaking up. One of them tried a few years ago. Remember, I played that video for you the other night, and they got cut off. The question was about Klaus Schwab and penetrating the cabinets. Remember? Can't hear you, the Speaker of the House said. That's when the House of Commons was virtual during the COVID pandemic response. You guys heard of the inversion matrix, right? You think Michelle Ferreri knows about that? Pierre Poilievre knows about that? Do you think they know about the Great Reset being in effect? And do you think they know about the New World Order? And are just under instructions never to talk about it? Or do they not know? Like Michelle asked at the beginning of that interview, or the piece of the interview that we played for you. When you stop and think about it, she'd say, people are too scared to ask the questions. People are too scared to have the conversations. Was she talking about the larger truth there? Or was she talking about the little stuff? This is what Amrit Bering and I talked about the other night. Like the politicians, by and large, the conservative politicians, the liberal politicians, whatever, they're allowed to do the little things. The little things according to the oligarchy above. You know, like getting rid of the LGBTQ thing and cleaning up the schools and cleaning up crime and maybe immigration. But that's a larger thing. That's part of the UN Migration Pact, right? So they might be able to slow it down a little bit, but they're never going to be able to stop it unless the cabal says they can. But what if a whole bunch of common sense people got together and said, no, we're not doing this. We're just not doing this anymore. Wouldn't that be something? But we need to wake them up. This video I'm about to play for you guys, I posted this on the Facebook page, I'm going to say 4 days ago. And since then, it's been viewed 175,000 times. I know it sounds like a lot. It's not really. Should be more. And hopefully it does get higher. But if you haven't seen it, it's by a guy called The Last Stand 01. And the only place I was able to find him was on TikTok. The Last Stand 01 on TikTok. Let's watch this.
Come closer. I've got something to tell you. Something is happening across the Western world. You can feel it on the streets, in the courts, at work, and online. It's not just political. It's not just cultural. It's psychological. A silent shift is underway, and it has a name. The inversion matrix. 5 sections. Section 1. The reversal begins. In this new system, the native becomes the intruder, the majority becomes the villain, and the truth becomes hate speech. The very people whose ancestors built these nations, who raised the families, tilled the land, and paid taxes, now find themselves apologizing for simply existing. How did this happen? Section 2. Psychological engineering and guilt programming. It began with psychological engineering. First, inject guilt programming, a constant stream of reminders about colonialism, slavery, privilege, and oppression. Then, flood the language with weaponized labels. Racist, transphobe, Islamophobe, far-right, each designed to shut down conversation, to train you to self-censor, and to submit. This isn't about justice. It's about control through confusion. Section 3. The two-tier system of compassion. Look around and you'll see it. As a matter of fact, I think that you know it already. Certain groups can gather publicly in the name of religion or pride. Others are fined, silenced, or arrested for praying silently. Crimes by one group are explained away as trauma, misunderstanding, or cultural norms. Same crime committed by someone else, instant outrage, national headlines, and cancellation. We've moved from equal rights to engineered imbalance, from justice for all to justice selectively applied. Section 4. Institutional capture. Every major institution in the Western world has been taken over by the same ideological virus. Schools no longer teach pride in culture, but shame in history. Police now investigate felonies, feelings, not felonies. Media filters truth through an ideological lens, where facts are problematic and narratives are sacred. Even churches and temples now bow down to slogans instead of scripture. This is called institutional capture, and it's not accidental. Section 5 is the long game. Divide, demoralize, and replace. But why? Because a divided, guilt-ridden, and morally paralyzed society is easier to govern. Shatter its tradition, drown it in imported ideologies, redefine its language, and turn its people against themselves. This is what I'm keep trying to say. These are the true cracks through the matrix. The end goal? Not justice, not harmony, but a population too confused to resist and too fragmented to unite. But let's be clear, this isn't a war between races or religions or genders. It's a war between truth and programming. Between those who remember who they are and those who've been rethought to forget. You don't need to hate anyone, but you do need to see. Because the longer we stay silent, the more the inversion matrix tightens. Until what was once solid, identity, family, faith, law, it becomes liquid, then meaningless, then gone. This isn't about hate, I repeat. It's about survival. And if you're still listening, it means the program didn't fully work on you. Not yet.
The Last Stand 01 on TikTok. Yeah, that's pretty heavy. Sounds like Yuri Bezmenov a little bit there in accent and in content. So what happens to us tonight, us Canadians, if they don't come up with a deal by midnight? All indications are that the threatened 35% tariffs will kick in, but that doesn't mean negotiations collapse. Deadlines are only deadlines in circumstances like this if the parties agree that they're a deadline. There's a deadline. There's nothing in law that makes this a deadline, so they could easily continue negotiating through the weekend or even next week if they think they're making progress. That from Drew Fagan, professor at the University of Toronto's Munk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. You know, there's a reason these guys are professors at schools like this, because they never succeeded in the real world, and yet always the media goes to them. What do you think about this, professor? Who cares? The guy hasn't been involved in real world negotiations in his entire life. Everything he knows is theoretical. Well, what will this mean for Canada? With a 6% effective tariff rate, Canada's economy could potentially start recovering by the end of the year, even with higher tariffs. Sal Guterri, director and senior economist at BMO Capital Markets, says it does hurt, but it's manageable and something that Canadian businesses ultimately could adjust to and live with. What about the people? Drowning in inflation. When you go to the store and buy eggs, 12 eggs cost you like $25. It's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. Donald Trump, still talking about the Jeffrey Epstein thing because the press won't leave him alone about it, and I don't blame them in this case, says Epstein stole young women from Mar-a-Lago Spa, including Virginia Giuffre. Donald Trump said Tuesday, that Jeffrey Epstein stole young women who worked for the spa at Mar-a-Lago, the latest evolution in his description of how their highly scrutinized relationship ended years ago. One of the women he acknowledged was Virginia Giuffre, who was among Epstein's most well-known sex trafficking accusers. Trump's comments expanded on remarks he had made a day earlier when he said he had banned Epstein from his private club in Florida 2 decades ago because his one-time friend stole people that worked for me. He stole people, like literally stole them? And you just banned him from your club? You didn't call the authorities and say, hey, this guy is stealing people. Actually, literally stealing them. At the time, he didn't make clear who those workers were. Trump has faced an outcry over his administration's refusal to release more records about Epstein after promises of transparency, a rare example of strain within Trump's tightly controlled political coalition. Trump has attempted to tamp down questions about the case, expressing annoyance that people are still talking about it 6 years after Epstein died by suicide while awaiting a trial, even though some of his own allies have promoted conspiracy theories about it. Oh, of course, conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's imprisoned former girlfriend, was recently interviewed inside a Florida courthouse by the Justice Department's number 2 official, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, though officials have not publicly disclosed what she said. Will they? Oh, no. No. Well, maybe some, but definitely not all. Her lawyer said Tuesday she's willing to answer more questions from Congress if granted immunity from future prosecution for her testimony and if lawmakers agree to satisfy some other conditions. We're never going to know. In the meantime, that's a distraction. Well, you know what? It's not a distraction because kids are suffering. They're dying. They're being stolen from their families. So that's not a distraction. Epstein himself probably is a distraction. And being obsessed with the files is a distraction. But this whole sex trafficking ring is going on. That's not a distraction. Distraction from what, though? What are they doing? Well, talked about it last night a little bit. They're trying to take over farmland. They're driving people from rural areas into cities, 15-minute cities. The whole thing, the infrastructure is in place. I'm not sure if you've seen it. You heard me talking about it maybe last week on the show. But here's a guy from the National Citizens Alliance in Calgary pointing it out. It's a 5-minute video. I don't think we're going to play the entire thing, but here's a part of it. Watch.
In Canada, pertaining to 5G mass installation around the country. So what do you see over here? This looks like a nice square, public square. Can you just take a close look? You see anything unusual? What you're seeing here, this is part of what's called smart city, smart country, but what they're really talking about is 5G world. It's total surveillance through 5G AI, total invasion of your privacy, total control over your personal information, and no way to opt out. So we're going to take a closer look so you know what I'm talking about here. But we're looking at these poles here. You see them there? Very disturbing. Come here.
Where is that? Stephen Avenue Mall?
These poles are called shuffle sites. That's what they're called. It's a mixture of Schroeder street lamps. You can see on the top, that one there there's a light fixture at the top there. And there's a few others, but we're gonna walk around them. But they also have Huawei technology in them. There's 5G cells in all these, and most of these here. And something worse, they got CCTV cameras, facial recognition cameras that study your behavioral patterns and track you. So let's take a closer look.
Now, our friend Lisa Robinson, the counselor in Pickering, Ontario, she's been on several times, as you guys know. She said she's made requests to the police in her city and then her county. Hey, what's all this tech going up here? And they didn't answer her at first. And then they said, yes, we do have that, but it's not functional right now. It's not in use. And it's only in use in case we're looking for a crime that's been committed. Oh, really? So it is in use then. So this is very concerning here. We're in a surveillance state.
See that camera right there? That's a facial recognition camera through Huawei technology. They use world-class algorithms to track people, their behavior. And it's all facial component as well. This is what's coming to Canada. They don't want to talk about it. There's 5G cell in there. There's also Wi-Fi in there. But these are going to be all over the city. But look at this, isn't it? This is so deceiving. Most people wouldn't even know that this is going on. That their privacy is being invaded. So let's take a walk around.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, that camera did zero in and focus on a camera inside that tower that he was pointing at. And I find that alarming, that these things are going up all over the cities and towns across our country. Do you think that the average person would care, or would they feel safer because they're being monitored by Big Brother? And there's no way that any crime could ever be committed with all these cameras. What are your thoughts on that?
Hi, sir.
Oh, here comes the security guard saying, you can't film here.
Hold on, sir. Come here. So we can't be here?
Huh? No, you can't be here.
We can't film this?
No.
Why not?
What's the purpose?
It's open to the public. Thank you. Let's keep walking.
No, I'm asking you a question. So what you're doing?
This is a public video. This is a private video we're doing. This is a public space.
This is not a public space.
Yes, it is. It's open to the public. There's benches here.
It's public access.
That's right. So come here.
So you can't film it.
Why can't we film?
You can't film it.
Why?
It's a policy of the building. If you want to film, you can take a permission.
No, we don't agree with you. Anyways.
You will agree with the CPS?
Yeah, whatever, sir. So they got lots of cameras. They got lots of cameras. You can see them over there. This is all facial recognition. Wi-Fi. There's another one.
Wow.
They don't want people filming it either.
Let's go to the public space.
There's another one.
Where's all the people, man? That's downtown Calgary. It must be past 5 o'clock on a weekday.
Here's public here. Here it's public.
Yeah. So
Now
this
we're
is
in
all
public space.
Huawei technology. And this is what they're doing during the lockdown. They're installing all this stuff. And can you believe that this city is in cahoots with whoever owns this property? Putting this stuff up. But check our information at National Citizens Alliance. There's a lot of troubling information about the health effects from this 5G technology, but also the privacy and security. And you can see what's happening with all the cameras. But we're gonna go now. But you see that we're right downtown. Very troubling.
I would suggest looking for them in your city, calling your counselor, asking what the hell. And don't let them off the hook either. Make them answer you. The agenda, their vision, your future is a brand new feature-length documentary by Oracle Films, produced by Mark Sharman in collaboration with Graffito Arts. Your Future is a feature-length independent documentary by former UK broadcasting executive Mark Sharman. It explores claims of decades-long plan by global elites to centralize control using tools like AI, surveillance, digital currencies, and digital identities. And that is what we're watching on the extension tonight. All Access Nighthawks and I at ShadoeDavis.com, and I urge you to become a member now. Oh, by the way, the store, the Shadoe Davis merch store, is going to be opening very soon on the website, ShadoeDavis.com, in the next couple of days, and members will get 10% discounts. At least on some items, maybe a little bit more. I'll see you there in just a couple of minutes. And for the rest of you guys, I'm going to be gone tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I want you to have an excellent long weekend. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'll be back on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Central for another Shadoe at Night live stream. See you later. Nighthawks, I'll see you in 2 minutes.